Okay, so it has been a long time coming. Welcome to my first video on Growing with Kay. This channel has been up for a very long time and I have not touched it. I hope the audio is well and good. It's gonna be a lot of sighs. Hopefully there's not a lot of tears, but there is no better time than the present. And I can't keep putting off doing this because God is no longer disallowing me not to. And I always had a vision of what my first video would be, and it was not this. I genuinely wanted to start it on a happier note and with me in a better mental space, but I think that this is divine timing and that this is gonna be perfect the way that it is. So the topic of this video today I have chose is grieving old chapters while simultaneously starting a new one. I just closed a chapter in my life, and I'm definitely going through the process of grief, and I think I'm going through it more than I ever have before. And I'm talking so slow, like this doesn't even feel like me, but I know that this is me right now and this is the rawness of me, so I'm going to not let that interfere with me making this video. And I really wanted to sit and talk about the complexities of grief and how it's not as linear as we may want it to be. And sometimes we want to jump the gun on grief and end it before we're able to feel it, or end it so we don't have to feel it, I shall say. But God in this season is telling me that I need to sit in it and learn all that I can from it and tell other people about it, about my experience at least, and to create this video log, which I will do through the process of how I go through it, through the hard mental days and tears and the hard mental days, the tears, and what it'll look like when I'm out of it finally. And it's a beautiful thing that I wish that I would have recorded a year ago when I went through another time similar to such, but this time is different. This time feels perfect for this. I may just keep them off, to be honest, because I'm taking too much time looking at myself in the camera, and maybe I just need to not do that. But grief definitely has many different complex forms that it may take on, and I feel like I'm very familiar with the physical aspects of the pain that comes with grief. And sometimes you just really want to turn it off. And like I said, skip to the good part. It's corny, but you want to skip to when it doesn't hurt anymore and when you're healed. But if you did that, what would be the purpose of this happening to you? What would you gain? And I think God has been trying to tell me that if I don't sit through it, I won't have a story to tell. But I think God is telling me that if I don't sit in it, what experience will I have to give to others? And the whole purpose that we're on this earth is to extort love out to anyone that comes into our path. And you do that through wisdom, through empathy and kindness. And I'm hoping that me going through this and being raw and expressive, like I said, this is gonna be hard for me to make. But being raw and expressive and honest with how you feel, instead of me saying, oh, I want to make a YouTube channel that helps people, but I want to wait until all is right in my world and all is right with me mentally, takes away from the experience that I could have or that I could give to someone else. And that is not what God placed me here for. And I know that because, like I said, God is not shy about telling me. So here I am. But I don't want to just talk about the negative aspects of grief. I think that what comes with grief comes a lot of reflection. Reflection on what went wrong and what you lost. And I can really only speak to it in a stance from a relationship point of view. I know that grief can definitely mean so many things. It's not only grieving a relationship or a friendship, it's grieving someone that you've lost physically in death, or a job that you may have lost, or you moving away, or you're closing a chapter of something. Either way, it's a form of reflection, and you get to reflect all the moments that you spent in that chapter. And sometimes I have a tendency to say that I just want to forget about it and I don't want to think about it. I want to act like it never happened and then transform into a new person, but it did happen. And everything that happens to us is what God wrote for us, you know? And every good, bad, embarrassing, sad moment of our lives has a meaning. And we can't erase it, because God wouldn't have put it there if he didn't want us to feel it and know it. So that's one thing, is to take this time to reflect on all the good things that happen and the bad things that happen, the ways that you could have grown in that situation, and the ways that you're going to grow out of it. The next thing I want to talk about is using the new time that you may have, or the new perspective that you may have, to understand why you may be in the situation that you're in. A lot of the time something bad can happen to us. We can get our hearts broken in numerous ways, and we always sit and ask God, like, why are you doing this to me? Why is this happening to me? Why do I have to feel this? I thought I was done with my trials and tribulations. What is this? And I find myself asking God that a lot. I always want to know why, but the answer is in the lesson that he gives you. And it takes you to sit in the grief and the pain to understand why. And you may not get your answer right away, and it's going to take work, and it's going to be uncomfortable, but you have to sit and look and say, if you want to advance in yourself, it's very important to understand and want to know that why, and be grateful that God gave you a chance to understand and know that why. That comes with strengthening your relationship with God, and also with yourself, and being kind to yourself and honest to yourself in this season. So those are kind of the points that I have right now on grief and sitting in it. But there's also beautiful light at the end of the tunnel to grief, and it perks me up, because it's very easy for us to sit in grief and think that we're going to be here for a long time, or that it's never going to end, and that the pain is something that we will consistently feel. But that's not true, because God is never going to put anything on your plate that you can't handle. He's never going to put anything on your back that will break you. It's a blessing to know. It's very kind of simple. I mean, like, everybody says that if you go to church, That is the pastor's main point, but there is truth in it, and that's why everyone says it, because it is a fact, and it takes that fear and anxiety away. And that's important, that you keep telling yourself that God wouldn't do this to me to break me or to hurt me, or to, he's not sitting up and just looking at us flail and cry and be sad like out of amusement. It's a reason. And there's things in this life that he wants you to do that required that thing that you grieved to be gone. And that's really hard. Because sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes you think that the thing that was in your life was building you up, but God wanted to show you something and say like, oh, it's gone, and you're gonna do some incredible things in its absence. And it's really hard to rationalize in the moment, because I am having a very hard rationalizing it in the moment, and a lot of me talking to you guys and in this video is me actually talking to myself as well. Take time in this process of grief, in the stages of grief, to learn something new about yourself every day. Push yourself to a limit that you may not have been able to push yourself to in that last chapter. For example, for me, it's this. In my last chapter, I don't think that I would be sitting here making this video at all or posting anything on anywhere. But in its absence, I am able to. And there's beauty to that. And this is only just one thing that I've done, but there's going to be so many more things that I do that I wasn't able to do in that past chapter, because I'm opening up a new one, and with the new chapter comes new strengths, new perspectives, courage. It comes time. Sometimes things that you lose may open up more time. It may constrict your time, but you gain something from it. And it's so scary. And I can't even sit and say that it's not scary, because it is. Because you have to jump a hurdle within yourself to say that you can do something that you've never been comfortable with. And stepping out of a comfort zone is never good, but we all know that God doesn't live in comfortability. So it's time for us, if you are grieving, if you're not grieving, it doesn't matter. If you were grieving and you missed your opportunity, take time to get to know who you are and who God wants you to be and what God is pushing you to be. Because the more that you sit in this, in the pain and the hurt, the more that you push your timeline back a little. And God is calling you to be something. He's calling you to be extraordinary. And he wouldn't have made you if you didn't have a purpose. And he wouldn't be putting redirections or roadblocks in your plans if it wasn't for your own good. And there's beauty in losing something, because you never know if that thing will be lost forever. Sometimes you lose things so they may come back to you in greater form. And sometimes you may thought you were growing to all your extent in that one thing, but you may not know how much you can grow in the future with some time and some space and in collaboration in the future. And that's beautiful to think about too, is that there's beauty in the unknown of not knowing what's going to happen to you. The last thing I want to say is, yes, make plans and have drive for everything that you do in this life. And I want to say that preceding to what I'm about to say, because I don't want anybody to think that you could just sit back and, just let God, you got to put in some work too. But I think the biggest lesson this has shown me is that my control in this life is limited, and that this life is complex, and God has plans for me that I can't see or rationalize and that makes it very hard to formulate plans. And it's crazy because life can switch on you in an instant, and everything that you knew was normal and comfortable to you can be gone. Things can be added into your life that you never were expecting to be added. Sometimes you may not feel ready for it, but the beauty in it is knowing that there is something better, greater. There's purpose. That not everything that you have on your planner or checklist or your next 5-year plan may come into fruition the way that you may expect it to. And there's beauty in it, like I said before, because it's God's story for you. And the main reason that you wake up every day is to sit in that and live in it. I think that why this is the most important lesson to me is because I can sit in the present now instead of looking in the future at what I want things to look like or to be. And I can sit and stop for a minute and appreciate the day that's in front of me and the people who are in front of me, because you never know how long you have with them or when their time in your life may be up. This video was kind of longer than I thought it was gonna be. I was rambling and talking really slow, but I think that this video is gonna touch someone out there that needs to hear it. And I know that in the future it will touch me, because I may need to hear this again. And that is what I hope that this channel means for me and to anybody who comes across it for the entire time that I do it. There's beauty in these experiences, and there's extreme beauty in being able to share it and help someone out who may be in a similar space. And that's all I want to do. So I will close this video out. I'm sorry it's so emotional, and I can't sit here and say that I won't have more emotional videos, because I am an emotional person. But like someone once told me, that's my superpower, and my emotions are my superpower, and I will continue to show them and respect them and everything that I do. And I hope that that will mean the same for you as well. But thank you for watching, and I hope that you all will subscribe to me, support, because it feels better going through hard times when you have support. And I want to build an internet community almost. So yeah, peace and love to everybody, and that's it for my first video on Growing with Kay.